welcome to School Recognition Night. Hopefully we'll be honoring everybody who came, maybe some faculty too, administrators. So let's get started. This is a fun part of our job, so we'll jump right into it. Won't keep you guys too long. It's too nice out. First thing up, Farm to Summer.
Thank you. I'm Nicole Mealy. I'm the Food Service Director here at Great Valley. There's so much excitement in the room. This is a great night. So I'm here to present an award for our Farm to Summer Food Service Program. As many of you know, in 2009, our Food Service Department started a garden to provide produce for the Great Valley cafeterias. Right back there behind Katie Markley, if nobody's ever seen it. The following summer, we started to participate in the Summer Food Service Program, which provides meals free of charge to our students as well as needy communities in the surrounding areas. By doing this, we were able to start utilizing the garden produce in the summer program as well as have staff available to process the produce for the school year. This April 5th, we were surprised to receive a certificate of appreciation from the United States Department of Agriculture presented by a representative of the Pennsylvania Department of Education, Food and Nutrition Division. Great Valley was submitted by the Department of Education, unbeknownst to us, for this award. The plaque reads, "The United States Department of Agriculture Certificate of Appreciation is awarded to Great Valley School District in recognition of the expansion and promotion of the Farm to Cafeteria initiative in the USDA Summer Food Service Program. Since 2009, summer meals have included farm fresh produce, significantly contributing to the health and well-being of the students in the district. We are not alone in our support of Farm to School. We could not operate the garden without the generous help of the Chester County Food Bank, as well as the support of the Great Valley community. On behalf of the Food Service Department, I would like to invite Kelsey Gartner to accept this award. Kelsey is our Nutrition and Garden Coordinator and has been with the district since 2011. Since she started, both the summer program and the garden have significantly grown. She is representative of all the food service staff who work hard to enable fresh, locally grown produce be available year-round for our students. Thank you to the food service staff, who's in the back over there, for your passion and dedication to feeding our students every day." Yes. Stand up, ladies. Thank you. Oh my God, you're going to embarrass me so badly.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ed Souders. I'm the principal of the Great Valley Middle School, and for the third year in a row, it's my pleasure to congratulate and acknowledge Akash Narayan, who qualified for the Chester County Spelling Bee. 2 years previously, he did make it down to the National Spelling Bee with Scripps in DC, but this year he ended up in second place. He's done a wonderful job for 3 years, and while he's not here with us, I just want to take a moment to congratulate him on a job well done in representing not only the Great Valley Middle School, but the district as a whole at our local spelling bees and even at the national level. So great job, Akash.
Good evening to the school board, Dr. Speaker Paul Blinsky. My name is Ari Cincerapino. I'm here on behalf of Tyler Yang. Tyler is our qualifier for the state geography bee at the middle school. That is his second trip to the geography bee. He was our two-time winner of the General Wayne, now Great Valley Middle School geography bee competition. And unfortunately for us tonight, Tyler's not with us. He's competing in the History Bowl. So I'm humbled on behalf of Tyler to accept his award, and I'll make sure that he gets that. So thank you very much. And congratulations to all of you who are receiving awards tonight. I see some familiar faces. Congratulations.
Good evening. My name is Jamie Himmelberger, and I am the Science Fair Coordinator for Charlestown Elementary School. And I just wanted to share a little bit about the Chester County Science Fair. On Tuesday, March 7th, over 50 young 4th and 5th graders represented Charlestown, Katy Markley, Sugartown, and General Wayne elementary schools at the Chester County Science Fair. This was the culmination of more than 4 months of work. During the winter months, these students worked tirelessly as they took detailed observations, analyzed their results, and in many cases asked more questions that needed yet another experiment to answer. Their hard work, careful analysis, and scientific thinking were rewarded when they were selected as one of the 10 best projects from their school, and were invited to take part in the Chester County Science Fair. Competing against over 100 projects from students all around the county, several of these projects won honors, and these students are here with us tonight, as well as their projects which line the hallway. Hopefully you checked out on your way in. These students exhibit a passion for science that we as a community should embrace, encourage, and cultivate. We all hope that these young students continue to pursue their love for science in the years to come. And I would like to now recognize the student from Charlestown Elementary, Connor Del Rossi. He won the Richard and Patty Smith Behavioral and Social Sciences Award for his project, Can You Weather Your Mood?
My name is Dustin Casper. I'm the Science Fair Coordinator at General Wayne Elementary School. Sorry. No, my fault. Sorry about that. That's my fault. Sorry. It's my honor to introduce a few fourth graders for their extremely great work, hard work on their research project. I'd like to introduce two girls who entered the team category. They did a project on candy, and they earned an honors award for it. Braden Friel and Paisley Fixler. Entering the consumer science category and receiving honors, Abner Gonzalez. Entering the botany category and earning high honors, Cameron Panino. And entering the zoology category and earning the Richard and Patty Smith Zoology Award, Tricia Koshik.
Good evening. My name is Andrew Franklin. I coordinated the KDM Science Fair this year. At KDM, we had 55 students participating in this year's fair. Of those students, 12 of them went on to the Chester County Science Fair, and I'm very proud to recognize 6 of those students who are with us tonight who earned awards at Chester County. First up, we have Anuj Awatramani. He earned honors in medicine and health for his project Exercising versus Exergaming. Next, we have a student who's not with us tonight, Shavika Varshney. She earned high honors in consumer science for her project, Huge Mess, No Stress. Next, we have Kareem Ahmed. He earned distinguished honors in mathematics for his project, Crystal Ball Politics. Ratish Kadali earned honors in biochemistry for his project, How Sweet Is It? A Diabetic Dilemma. Owen Lee earned distinguished honors in physics for his project, Is Copper the Best Metal Conductor? And last but not least, we have Brighton Risch. He earned distinguished honors in the Behavioral and Social Sciences category for his project, The Placebo Effect Flavor Testing. And additionally, Brighton's project was named Best in Show, 3rd place out of the entire Chester County Fair.
I'm Sarah O'Neill, the Science Fair Coordinator at Sugartown Elementary School, and we have a few 4th grade projects to recognize tonight as well. First is Samantha Lavin with distinguished honors for her project Burning Life of Tea Candles. And next we have a team project that also won distinguished honors. How does the amount of vinegar affect how much plastic it produces? Audrey Song and Abby Zilber.
Can middle school and the high schools come up? You can all come. Hi, I'm representing the middle school and the high school today. And at the middle school level, if you do well enough at the school level, you move on to the Chester County level, and then you can also move on to the Delaware Valley level. So some of these kids are being recognized for multiple awards at various levels. First, we have 6th grader Benjamin Kirker, and he won the Richard and Patty Smith Physics Award. Next, we have 6th graders Juhani Matter and Mathila Mule, and that was 2nd place for a team award. 7th grader Nandini Bhatt won 2nd place and the Chester County Environmental Planning Commission Award at the Chester County level, and at the Delaware Valley level, she won an honorable mention in environmental science. Ishwar Krishnan, a 7th grader, at the the Chester County level won 2nd place for computer science, and at the Delaware Valley won the Merck Scientific Achievement Award, 1st place, and the Janssen Biotechnology Award, honorable mention. 7th grader Prithvi Parsasarathi won 1st place at the Chester County Science Fair and the Dave Jarvie Life Sciences Award. And at the Delaware Valley, he won an honorable mention in microbiology, the Merck Scientific Achievement Award, 3rd place, and the Institute of Food Technologies Award first place, and he was invited to speak at Drexel. Drexel, and on behalf of that. Eighth grader Akash Narayan is not here. He was also second place at the Chester County Science Fair and Delaware Valley Honorable Mention in Chemistry, American Chemical Society Award, Honorable Mention, and the Future Scientist Award. He's also at the Regional History Bee, so he's not here. And then ninth grader Kevin Guo, first place at the Chester County Science Fair in Microbiology, and at the Delaware Valley Science Fair, Honorable Mention in Microbiology. That's it. And Annika Kopsey for honorable mention at the Chester County Science Fair.
Good evening. My name is Meredith Rieger, and I'm an English teacher at the high school. And I'm here to introduce, do you want Aaron to come up while I talk about him? Wonderful. Okay, Aaron, why don't you come up? I'm here to introduce Aaron Rubin, who wrote the verse in this year's holiday card. I always talk a little bit about how it comes to pass, and Aaron, if you want to jump in with anything, you can. Part of my philosophy about creative writing is that you have to daily, at the same time, ask for the, get your creative juices going by practicing each day at the same time doing something creative. And we do that in class. What we don't always recognize is that sometimes the season has to be right too. But when you have a production schedule, you can't have your winter verses come in the winter. They have to come in the autumn. So sometime in mid-October, we have a Christmas party. We drink hot chocolate and we sing Christmas carols and we write the holiday verse that will end up in December in people's mailboxes. And this year, we had the good fortune to have Aaron in class because he didn't just do a wonderful job, he did an extraordinary job. So here we have, should I read it for you? Okay, are you embarrassed yet? Yeah, here we go. I whisper the quiet snows in shawls over wordless trees. Creek beds and silver moor I wander, gray reed and branch I freeze. The world inherits my long-hand lineage of argent frost, and I reclaim the silver woods by spring and summer lost. And this is just a piece of the amazing talent that Aaron has, so congratulations.
On behalf of Mr. Cellini, as well as the other members of our Great Valley Middle School music department, I have the honor of introducing a number of students that participated in 3 different all-area orchestras or String Fests. The first is our District 12 PMEA 7th and 8th grade String Fest, and we have 6th Great Valley Middle School students who were selected to perform with this group. Those students are Kristen Ho, Bailey Kalinsky, Eva Lee, Evan Sun, Tyler Yang, and Sarah Yoon. Our next group is the District PMEA Intermediate String Fest, and that is made up of 5th and 6th grade students. The individuals that we have, 6 of them, are Chloe Becker, Eric Chu, Raymond Fan, Annika Capsey, Anna Naylor, and Kirsten Ong. And last but not least, we have 13 Great Valley Middle School students who participated in the Schuylkill Valley Area Orchestra. And those individuals are Benjamin Day, Katie Fetish, Eric Hahn, Leon Lee, Sean Locke, Bo Allen's son, Ashley Tang, Michelle Che, Isaac Hugh, Leo Lee, Pierce Nolan, Divya Ray, and Michael Search. Michelle's next. That's Michelle right there. Pierce is next. He's on the bottom. And that's Michael.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Russell Wren. I'm the athletic director here at Great Valley. And tonight I'm here to talk about our boys basketball team and their terrific accomplishment this year. They had an awesome season. They won their Chestmont League championship. They went on to the district playoffs and also qualified for the PIAA state championship tournament. What a lot of people don't know is they really weren't on anybody's radar in the beginning of the year. In fact, some of the local sports experts picked them to almost finish last. So it was a tremendous accomplishment by our kids and our coaches this year. And I'm here to introduce our head coach, who's just recently won the Daily Local All-Area Coach of the Year for the job he did this year, Coach Paul Jerome.
I come equipped with my 3 bodyguards here. And I told JJ that this was a basketball award, but he wore the wrong uniform. Now we know that's not true. He just came from a baseball game. What Russ said certainly was true. I think it's all in the expectation in the beginning of the year. And led by these 3 young men, plus Alex Capitano, who could not attend tonight, these are our 4 team captains. And what terrific captains they were throughout the entire year. They steered the ship in the right direction. So I'd like to introduce them to you just very quickly. To my immediate right here is Robert Geis. He's a senior, also very well known on the football field. He was the quarterback for the last 2 years. And what a tremendous job he did on the basketball court this year. He was our best defensive player, and he was selected as second team All-Chestmont. So Robert Geis. A long time ago, somebody told me, find somebody on your team that will be the coach on the court. And I don't know, maybe he was reticent to do so when we first met. But my next young man over here, Matt Parecka, he was the field general on the court. It took a while, but after many months, he realized what I expected, and then he expected the same for his teammates. He's just into it. He plays with great passion. And, luckily, I get to have him back next year. Matt Parecka. And lastly, over here, J.J. Long. He is a senior also, and he's more of that quiet leader. But I think J.J. really is emblematic of what a program is all about. And the sports programs at Great Valley and all sports, they're just terrific. And this is a young man that stuck with it all the way through. And in his senior year, he finally got his chance, and he didn't let down at all. He led our team in rebounding and block shots and clutch shots, playing under lots of duress in many close games at the end of the season. J.J. Long. I'd just like to conclude by saying it's such a privilege to coach at Great Valley. I know this doesn't happen in all school districts, but after every practice, whether I've been pretty tough with them or not, every one of the players comes up at the end of practice to shake hands. And somewhere along the line, parents, coaches at the lower levels have done a terrific job of showing them what's most important. They're all respectful, intelligent young men, and I wish them the best. Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Stand in front. We can stand. Thank you for coming tonight. That concludes our recognitions this month. I think we have another one next month in May. If you'd like to come back, hopefully we'll see more of you. So thank you very much. Enjoy the evening. All right, let's get started. Welcome to the April board meeting. First thing up is Pledge of Allegiance. If you young ladies could lead us in the pledge. Thank you. All right, a board met in executive session beforehand to discuss some personnel and legal matters. First thing up, Secretary's correspondence, nothing. IU report.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, I don't have a formal meeting report because we haven't had a meeting, but I have some information to share from the Technical College High School in Pickering. 4 new programs they're going to implement in the fall that are quite extensive, and I just want to just briefly list what they are. The first one is Digital Media and Sound Communications, Career Pathways, Audio Engineering, Audio Production, Broadcasting, Digital Media, Mass Communication, and Sound Communication. You'll get professional certifications in Adobe Certified Associate Visual Communication, Apple Certified Pro, Final Cut Pro. The second new program is Engineering and Automated Manufacturing Technology. The career pathways are into electrical engineering, industrial design, industrial engineering, mechanical engineering, and robotics. The professional certificates that can be earned are AMIST 1, Fountainac Robotic Programmer, General Industry Safety, OSHA, and International Siemens Mechatronic. The third program, very similar to this one, the second one, is Robotics and Avionics. And the career pathways are avionics, computer science, electrical engineering, and telecommunications. The professional certifications that can be earned are Certified Education Robotic Training, CERT from FENIC America, EM1, DC Basics, EM2, AC Basics, and EM4, Digital Basics certificates, and Pennsylvania Skills Certificate. And the last program I have here is Precision CNC Machining, which is career pathways or computer science, mechanical engineering, technical research and development. Professional certifications to be earned are FANUC, robotic certification, general industry training, OSHA, Mastercam CAD CAM certification, National Institute for Metalworking Skills and NIMS and certificates, 3 in total, SP2 Safety and Pollution Prevention Training. So these are some really exciting new programs that they're coming up with that are available to future students. And if you want more information or if you want to attend, they are having a forum Thursday night. That's April 20th at the Technical College High School. So if you want to attend, it starts at 6. And the phone number there, if anybody wants to sign up, is 484-237-5325. Or email admissions@cciu.org. So that's my information to share. Thank you.
Wow. With no formal meeting.
Not yet.
All right, legislative report.
Sorry, you're not getting off the hook with this one. There's a lot to tell you guys about, and the public. A lot going on Capitol Hill. After a brief recess, both the House and the Senate will be back in Harrisburg this week for 2 days of session. Discussions surrounding the state's financial situation continue to take center stage as we move toward June. The House and Senate continue to examine many of the components of the governor's budget, including the consolidation of state government agencies and even the proposed lease of the Pennsylvania Farm Show complex. Additionally, there are likely to be many upcoming discussions about the proposed expansion of liquor privatization, something that the House Republican budget proposal relied on heavily for additional revenue. Property tax reform update. Things remain relatively quiet on the property tax reform front. However, the issue continues to be a topic of discussion. While the support for property tax elimination under Senate Bill 76 has dwindled over the past couple of months, there continue to be efforts to move that proposal forward. Just recently, the Independent Fiscal Office released some property tax revenue projections pursuant to a request from the sponsors of the proposed legislation. Upcoming meetings. The House Education Committee will meet on Tuesday, April 18th to consider the following bills. House Bill 97, which provides comprehensive changes to the charter school law. The bill provides for many changes, including creating a funding commission to review charter school funding, among a lot of other things. House Bill 205, which removes employees of the PA School Board Association from PACERS. House Bill 399, which prohibits teacher preparation programs from requiring passage of the praxis exam for graduation, or from including a student's praxis exam score as a component of the student's grade. Some other ones quickly. House Bill 1022, requiring Pennsylvania institutions of higher ed to provide uniformity in credits available to incoming freshmen who have scored at least a 3 on an AP exam or who have passed another relevant exam. The Senate Education Committee will meet on Wednesday to consider the following. Senate Bill 88, which prohibits content-based censorship on historical U.S. or Pennsylvania documents and ensures that no teacher or administrator is prohibited from using, reading from, or posting in a public school excerpts from historical documents, including the U.S. Constitution, the Mayflower Compact, the National Anthem, and the Declaration of Independence during the course of educational instruction. I think that's a plus for history. Senate Bill 93, which permits students who are homeschooled to access additional programs. Senate Bill 273, which prohibits state funding to sanctuary campuses that refuse to share information regarding the immigration status of students with the federal government. Senate Bill 383 permits school boards to adopt policies allowing school personnel to have access to firearms on grounds of a public school. Don't get excited. These are all just discussion items. Senate Bill 592, which requires offers of employment made to prospective superintendent, assistant superintendent, associate superintendent, and principal to be posted on the school district's website for 2 weeks before the board takes official action. The House is expected to vote on House Bill 453, which requires entities to respond to an Auditor General's audit within 120 days or face withholding of state funding. On the Senate floor calendar, the following bill remains on the floor. Senate Bill 406, which requires a 2/3 majority school board vote to increase property taxes from the prior year. Senate Bill 494, which prohibits a collective bargaining agreement from permitting full-time union leave. House Bill 224 provides immunity to school bus drivers and crossing guards who administer an EpiPen to students in a manner that complies with the policies of the school district. House Bill 202 eliminates the Keystone exams in English composition, Algebra 2, Geometry, U.S. History, Chemistry, Civics, and Government and World History. Senate Bill 167 amends the PA Constitution to prohibit school districts from making deductions for political contributions associated from public employee paychecks. So as you can see, there's really a lot that affects public ed in one way or another coming up. I know these are painful. They are posted. I just gave you the highlights. They will be posted on the website in the morning. So if you want to, anybody wants to take a look, it is time now for us to start paying really close attention. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, something more enjoyable. How about the Great Valley Middle School first? Student Council report.
Do I have to move it closer? All right. Okay. Good evening to the board, Dr. Speaker Polovinsky, parents, teachers, and Great Valley community members. My name is Marley Leva, and I'm the 8th grade Student Council President. This is Osagie Netur, the 8th grade Student Council Vice President, Jillian Kosha, the 8th grade Student Council Treasurer, Kate Bevick, the 7th grade Vice President, Jugat Singh, the 7th grade Secretary, and Avery Source, the 7th grade Treasurer. The second annual Student Council Chili Cook-Off was held on Friday, February 3rd. It was an awesome night, and 26 chili entries were submitted to the Chili Cook-Off. 115 community members enjoyed the tasting session and the chili meal. After the meal, everyone enjoyed the Super Bowl trivia questions and the competition. We are looking forward to next year's Chili Cook-Off, and we are excited to be hosting this again for years to come.
Students purchased candygrams for their friends in February. Students were able to write a positive note of encouragement on the candygram. The candygrams were sold out before the week was over.
National Engineers Week was a lot of fun in February. A famous inventor was shared in the morning show daily. In addition, over 50 students participated in the paper airplane engineering competition before school. The annual Father-Daughter Dance is rescheduled for April 28th from 6:30 to 8:30. There'll be music, bingo, dancing, snacks, and more. Students can also vote on the school website which songs they want to hear at the dance. We are currently selling tickets at lunch, and there will be tickets available at the door. Male student council reps are invited to help at the dance.
Our most recent Spirit Day was held on April 7th. We invited all GVMS students to wear their favorite Major League Baseball jersey to school. It was a great turnout, and we had a lottery with a lucky student who won a $5 Wawa gift card for wearing their jersey.
On February 21st, over 40 student council reps and officers attended the Region F conference at Neshaminy High School. In all, there were 600 middle and high school student council members at the conference. We learned many leadership skills and brainstormed ideas for the upcoming school year. We also heard from an inspirational speaker, Ed Garrity, who taught us how to be better young leaders. Student council elections will be held in May. 4 positions are up for the election for the incoming 7th graders: president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer. They will make a poster and a video of their speech, which will be showed to their classmates. At the end of May, 6th grade will be able to vote for the new student council officers. We are excited to get more student council officers involved.
We have continued to hold monthly general council meetings. Our 135 representatives from 3 grades can bring their ideas along with them to our student body to help improve our council. The meetings are held on the 3rd Thursday of every month and are always a great bonding time for our council. Our last general student council meeting will be held in May.
We have recently been experimenting with new icebreakers we learned at the Pennsylvania Association of Student Council Region F Conference. For example, at our upcoming meeting, we plan to do an icebreaker called Get to Know a Friend. In this activity, you pair up with someone you don't know well and make a handshake. From there on, you compete with other partnerships with your personal handshake. This is just one of the icebreakers we learned and plan to do many more of them.
We would like to thank you all for all of the opportunities provided for us at the middle school. Thank you for your time and have a great night.
Thank you for your time. We appreciate the update. All right, well, we're fortunate because we also have the Sugartown Student Council here tonight, so we can find out what's going on up at Sugartown. So if you guys want to come up to the podium and tell us.
Hello, my name is Emma Leisure and I'm in the 5th grade. I'm also the Student Council President of Sugartown Elementary. I wanted to participate in Student Council because I knew I could give a unique leadership that put the people first, but I couldn't do it without the other Student Council members. All the Student Council is helping by organizing fundraisers, informing the school on upcoming events, and just helping out as super kids. The other board members beside me are Rachel, our VP, Ryan, our treasurer, and Zaria could not make it, and she's our secretary. In January, the Student Council raised over $1,035 for the Leukemia and Lymphoma fundraiser. This was where the whole school raised money for people with these conditions. Last month, Sugartown celebrated National Make a Friend Day. This was when classes went to different buddy classes. This gave kids a chance to interact with someone they normally don't. Sugartown is also participating in the Crayon Initiative. This is where children donate old crayons and then get melted down to form new crayons for children in the hospital. Sugartown also has an Envirothon Club. This is a fun club that begins before school on Thursday mornings, where kids can learn about topics revolving around the environment. The topics include animals, plants, and outdoor safety. Next month, the children will go to a competition where they will compete on the topics that they have learned against multiple other schools. I will now hand over the microphone to Rachel, our VP.
Hello, my name is Rachel Meehan. I am a 4th grader in Miss Hennessy's class. I am also the Vice President of Sugartown Elementary Student Council. At Sugartown, we have a technology club for 5th graders who are interested. This club meets about once a month before school. Topics that students learn about are in technology club include coding, building websites, typing, and more. The students in this club really enjoy it and look forward to using more technology in their classrooms. Sugartown also did pencilograms. This year, we completely sold out for the 3rd year in a row. We raised over $200 with pencilograms. We then donated $200 out of the Student Council account to schools that have not reopened because of floods in Louisiana. Lastly, Sugartown had their own spelling bee this year. The winner was Evan Snyder, a 5th grader. Evan then moved on to compete in the Chester County Country Spelling Bee. I will now pass the microphone to our amazing treasurer, Ryan Rossi.
Good evening. My name is Ryan Rossi. I'm the treasurer for Sugartown Student Council. I'm filling in for our secretary, Zaria. Every year, Sugartown has a spring fair. It is one of the biggest events of the year. The best thing that we student council representatives look forward to is the pitch burst, where balloons are popped over our heads by people throwing a ball at a target. We also have a lot of fun and games and tons of food. It all raises money for our school, and we are having fun. On Dr. Seuss's birthday, we had a Read Across America night, filled with fun. Teachers were reading books, there were milk and cookies, and you could hang out with your friends. Our school realizes that some schools or kids need help, so we had a penny word competition. It was grades against grades, and 5th grade was green, 4th grade was blue, 3rd was orange, 2nd was red, 1st was yellow, and kindergarten was white. In the cafeteria was where you could put silver coins in a grades bucket to make grades levels lose points. And you put pennies in your grade level so you can win points. The winning grade level wins a special prize that no one knows of. We also are holding a Relay for Life, which is trying to find a cure for cancer by walking and running a distance. Thank you. Hi, I'm Ryan Rossi, and I'm the Sugartown treasurer. As treasurer, I take care of the finances. So far, after many lunchtime activities, we have raised over $300. This money goes to Sugartown families in need, other charities, or towards something for our school. In March, Sugartown put on a great musical titled The Best Little Theater in Town. 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade students who signed up participated in it. There was a school assembly to showcase the show for all the students and also a nighttime show for adults. Both shows were a big hit. Sugartown has been participating in a health and wellness challenge each month. It is a competition between classrooms. The many challenges have included number of water bottles brought to gym class, the number of students who brought a fruit or vegetable for snack, number of students who displayed a random act of kindness, number of movement breaks, and the number of times a class stopped to breathe. Sugartown Student Council will be very busy this spring in anticipation of our spring fair. We are very excited for the warmer spring weather. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. A lot going on at Charlestown. Thank you. How about the high school? Put you on the spot if you're ready while they're
That's
all,
fine.
while we have them all here. Let's let you guys know what's going on at the high school, especially for next year for a couple of you, right?
Yeah, so good evening, everyone. It's good to be back. I hope you all had a great spring break and a great Easter as well. And even though we're entering into the last few months of the school year, the high school is still continuing to work hard in all sorts of events, including FBLA, Future Business Leaders of America. It's something I'm part of myself. Myself, along with about 30 other students, went to Hershey from April 2nd to April 5th to compete in business-related events and all sorts of stuff like that. And Great Valley continued to win numerous awards, and we have a few kids even going to nationals later this summer in Anaheim, in California. It's a great accomplishment for Great Valley students. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to see the spring musical because it was happening at the same time. But based on everything I heard, it was an incredible success once again, and everyone who saw it seemed to have a great time enjoying it. The sophomore class also had a fundraiser. They had a volleyball tournament, and they raised $700. Kids had a great time there, and inspired a lot of healthy competition between all sorts of levels of students. Coming up on Sunday, April 23rd, will be the Desmond Student Achiever Banquet. The Desmond class, throughout the year, holds certain banquets and stuff, but this is the culmination of their entire year of work. They work with the business department teachers, Mr. McCluskey, Mr. Balderson, along with the Desmond Hotel, to learn business skills and how to host a banquet at the end of the year. And many student achievers will be there and receive awards there. Keep an eye out for Mr. Great Valley. It's coming up soon. It's May 5th. Please do your best to attend. All ticket sales and all proceeds from it will benefit a scholarship that seniors will receive later in the year. On March 23rd, students enrolled in the personal finance classes took a trip to New York City and heard from the teacher, Mr. Balderson's own personal experiences when he worked on Wall Street. We saw the New York Stock Exchange, we saw the Bull, we saw the World Trade Center, and we also saw the 9/11 Memorial. And it was a great experience because Mr. Balderson added a lot of his own personal experiences to it that really made the trip special. The Great Valley Quiz Bowl team also won the Chester County Quiz Bowl Championship over Unionville and Conestoga on March 28th, and they will be advancing to states. And finally, over spring break, some of the language classes had the opportunity to go international and actually visit some of the cultures that they've been studying, including the French, who had a great time in France and Paris, and the German students who went to Germany and toured all over the country. Thank you.
So last time you were here, I asked you about where you were attending, and I hear that congratulations are in order. You've decided, and you'll be going to Berkeley. Is that what I hear? To study? Nice. Congratulations. Well, it was worth waiting to hear that one. All right. Before we go further into the meeting, you guys can all go home unless you want to be bored.
Thank you all so much. Excellent job.
Thank you. We're just getting Paddock cough drop. All right. Back to work. All right. Earlier this evening, we had recognition for a lot of students, everything from spelling bee contest winners to science fair winners to music team to basketball, et cetera. So our next awards recognition night will be May 17th at our May meeting, so, or May 15th, excuse me. All right. On to the superintendent's report.
We'll start with the budget update. Not much has changed since the last time we did a presentation, but it's just a reminder and making sure we're all well aware.
Yep, we've virtually changed nothing since the last time. The budget, as you know, is made up primarily of staffing and debt. So total budget for this year is $99,800,000, of which 78, almost 80% is staffing and debt. Support of other schools, which include things like approved private schools, Chester County Intermediate Unit, the vocational technical school, things like that, $7.6 million. Transportation costs us $4.6 million. Infrastructure and operating cost, we have a very small budgetary reserve, less than 0.75%. Funding sources are the same as we presented last month. Right now, we're still proposing the current millage, and the tentative proposed budget, which you have on the agenda for approval later, has a millage of 0%, so the millage will be the same as it is this year. Just a little chart for those. This is kind of the Act 1, this is the Act 1 index versus what your millage rate was for the year or is proposed for the year, and as we are most common compared to the Social Security index. I know Social Security received a paltry 0.3% this year. So as you can see, over the 11 years, I believe, that it was listed there for the Act 1, since Act 1 has been in place, Great Valley's millage has been a little less than 2%, or almost right in line with what the Social Security is. I know it doesn't probably feel like that, but it does. So the impact on a homeowner, this is just a slide we have every year, probably not really needed this year because 0 is 0. Budget calendar tonight in green, and would be adopt the preliminary budget, since you did approve the opt-out resolution back in earlier this year. And then the next meeting we have is scheduled for May 1st Finance. The superintendent and I are recommended we cancel that. Unless you have some things you want to discuss, we'd be glad to meet. We have it on our calendar for that night, but there would probably be no significant change between now and then. The meeting then, we would probably can just give an update on May 8th at the work session rather than the 1st. The final budget has to be available for public inspection on the 15th. So whatever the final budget looks like, assuming it's close to this or this, would have to be put on display. Our department has to advertise the intent to adopt the final budget sometime before May 25th, 10 days, and then the final budget adoption June 5th.
I have a question. You still have a gap of 800,000 in here? So that'll be resolved by then?
It'll be resolved one way or another by then.
Anybody object to canceling May 1st? Or have any reason to have May 1st?
I just want to get clarification. So, no matter what way that is resolved, you would not be changing your recommendation?
No, I mean, if we had to go right now, we're comfortable enough to take another 800,000 out of the reserves for right now. We do believe there are more interim assessments coming, and we'll probably balance that out a little bit, and we're still looking at how we're going to, we've removed 6 positions from the budget, staff positions, and we had no retirements, so we're working on alternative means to make up those 6 that are already out of the budget, and hopefully a little bit more, but this is, you know, in the realm of our budget, that's less than 1%.
I'm okay.
No May 1st meeting, we'll get an update on the 8th.
Yes.
Thank you.
Do you have a presentation here? Okay, it wasn't here. What's that? Huh? Oh, yeah, that yellow folder. I'm good. Thanks, Jason. Thanks, Linda. Thanks, Regina. Okay.
As President Barrett had shared and that everyone heard, all of the amazing things happening around the district, I have to tell you, it is such an honor to be, have the opportunity to work with such amazing students and staff and administrators. And what we're going to show in this superintendent's update is certainly just scratching the surface of the amazing things that are happening. So just to highlight some of the happenings around the district, in Charlestown, second grade student, thank you, Chuck. Second grade student Sadat Suresh, who won 4th place in the statewide Pennsylvania chess tournament for grades kindergarten through 9. So Sadat had a lot of competition and did an amazing job. Children's author and illustrator Greg Pizzoli visited Charlestown on March 31st. He also visited some of the other elementary schools as well. And then there was a student versus staff hockey game, and that was held in the beginning of April. Katie Markley, some happenings there. Chester County Science Fair, and you saw some of the students, but for a second year in a row, a Katie Markley student received Best in Show, an amazing accomplishment. Representative Dwayne Milne came to Katie Markley on March 14th to present Karim Ahmad, the 5th grader, with a citation for the drug-free poster contest. And we had honored Karim at a previous board meeting. First grade students completed their collection of makers, stickers, and books to be donated to the DuPont's Children's Hospital. I apologize, I believe that's a collection not of makers, but a collection of markers. Also around the district, and I want to really give a huge shout out to our Department of Pupil Services, as well as our administrators and teachers, as well as the students. Around the district, we had a Lighted Up Blue for autism awareness, and you can look at all of the Facebook props that were used to identify those students and the staff members who were highlighting autism awareness. And you can see KDM lights it up blue, and there are some of the pictures that were on the Katie Markley website as well as on the district website. Some General Wayne happenings. Mrs. Carolyn Stewart and her second grade class were recognized in the Daily Local News at the end of March. Mrs. Stewart was studying at Duke University, and she was working on a project approach, and the students actually did a project entitled Work Like a Dog. It truly was an exciting and informative series of events. The project featured guest speakers and guest dogs. They read about dogs, they wrote about dogs, they created projects about dogs, and as one of the students said, I cannot believe how many things dogs do. Additionally, as part of their service project, they made a dog treat cookbook. They sold the cookbooks and raised over $250, and the $250 was donated to the Canine Unit of Chester County Sheriff's Office to buy dog bulletproof vests. So it was very much appreciated. Also in General Wayne, their Lighted Up Blue, around the district, it was held on April 4th, and you can see some highlights of that event at General Wayne. General Wayne also had a musical, Rats. Close to 60 4th and 5th graders were involved in the production with rehearsals underway for the June 8th performance. Mr. Schaefer and the 4th grade chorus performed a fantastic tribute to Shel Silverstein. That was held on March 9th. It was a lot of fun. The students had a lot of fun, and it was really, really a great show of talent for those students. In Sugartown happenings, and you'll hear some repetitions from the student council that had shared, Scott Walter and the cast of the Best Little Theater in Town, and we talked a little bit about that at the last meeting for the spring musical. It was held on March 8th. The Sugartown School Community, as was shared by the student council in their Pennyworth competition, raised $2,076.83 for the American Cancer Association. That was organized by Mrs. Hornberger and Mrs. O'Neill. Also, the Physical Education and Health Department, they Skyped a lesson across the 4 elementary schools, and that's the highlight of the Wellness Project, as they shared about breathing and moving and taking time for internal and external wellness. They also had the opportunity to have author Greg Pizzoli visit the school and present to the student body. Middle school, Math Counts. Congratulations to the 6th grade students who participated in the competition. As you heard from the student council, the members of the Quiz Bowl team did an outstanding job in the Ichabod Quiz Bowl tournament, with all 3 teams making the semifinals. Again, middle school celebrated Lighted Up Blue with Autism Speaks. Bracelets were sold to benefit Autism Speaks, and the middle school autistic support class crafted and sold coasters for $5 to support the community-based instruction. Community-based instruction is where students go out and learn in the community with highlighted goals for learning. Again, at the middle school, they had their annual arts night. What an amazing show of talent, and it really expands the definition of art that more than is typically thought of, spotlighting talented artists, musicians, poets, food demonstrations, videos from the Family and Consumer Science Department, and numerous examples of paintings, sculptures, photos, and musicianship of instrumentalists and vocalists. Also, the Scholastic Book Fair was held March 20th through the 24th, and the kickoff was the Arts Night. All language arts classes visited the book fair, and the students donated loose change, All for Books campaign to help less fortunate students afford books. Scholastic does a match with the amount of money that's raised. They match the total dollars collected for that cause. High school, we have some top-notch performers, and we just found out about Ram, or we would have included him as a bullet going to Berkeley. We have Samantha Taylor, 12th grader, recently completed the requirements for the Girl Scout Gold Award, the highest honor in Girl Scouting. Senior Srava Shrava Allah was named one out of 150 recipients of I believe that's a $20,000 scholarship from Coca-Cola. There were over 85,000 applicants for that scholarship. Mr. Harvey, is that correct? Thank you. Heather Brophy, another 12th grade student, was named Student of the Quarter for the Allied Health Program at Technology College High School, Brandywine. Senior lacrosse player Natalie Kahn was selected as Great Valley's Athlete of the Month. Her photo is displayed outside of the gymnasium and also in the Paoli Acme. There's also a gift certificate to Modell's Sporting Goods that the Acme provides. Sayana Narayana, 12th grade student, was recently accepted to Harvard University. So that is some of our high school student performers. Our high school students shining, Sam Edwards and Owen Lawless, attended the 2017 USA Hockey National Championships in Texas. And with their Tier 2 Quakers, it's an AAU team. The team won the division for districts to compete in nationals, and both boys earned honorable mentions for their participation. The Desmond class held their 3-on-3 basketball tournament in March and raised over $1,500 for CHOP. And kudos to the jazz band on their performance at the Daniel Boone Jazz Festival in March. They did an amazing job, and it was the second consecutive outstanding rating this season. There is a lot of talk about our musicians across the district. Also in the high school, if you had an opportunity, as Ram had mentioned, how to succeed in business without really trying. 5 wonderful performances, and if you didn't get the opportunity to see that, if you can watch a recording, it truly was an amazing show of talent. Also, our high school library recently added over 80 books in Spanish to the library collection. And finally, the high school also raised $1,000 for autism awareness. And as you can see, they also celebrated Autism Speaks. There were many events throughout the high school, as well as throughout the district. And finally, if you are available and you would like to see our students shine in additional events coming up, these are the events April 18th through May 5th. I also wanted to share that on April 20th, we will be having an Alumni Association reorganization meeting. There was an Alumni Association started a number of years ago, and we are resurrecting that group. And I believe as of this morning, we have approximately 40 alumni who will be joining us on Thursday evening. And out of that, our goals for that evening would be to start soliciting applicants for the committee, for the leadership committee to drive that work forward. Very exciting. Our alumni are just, as you can imagine, just as talented and amazing as those students who we see each and every week and each and every day in our schools. So it really is a point of pride, and many of our alumni have expressed the desire and the motivation to give back. So really looking forward to meeting with them on Thursday. Thank you.
All right. Lots going on.
Yes.
A lot of good things. All right, next up concludes all the presentations. We're going to be entering the voting section. If there's anybody who would like to comment on any of the items up for voting, please come to the podium, state your name and residency. There will be another comment section at the end of the meeting for any other comments, should anybody have any. All right, seeing none, first thing up is the consent agenda items 7.01 through 7.15. Do I have a motion for
Motion to
approval?
approve 7.01 through 7.15.
Motion and a second. Any questions or comments?
I just will add that there's quite a few donations added since the work session, since we had 2 weeks. I'll call your attention to a couple. One is the first one there, 7.08. I talked about Mr. Worthington. He was formerly the phys ed teacher at the high school, driver ed, retired in the late 80s. We got the first part of his bequeath to the school district scholarship fund of $1.3 million last week. So Mr. Harvey will be administering that there. It's a great scholarship. 2 kids will be able to get $5,000 a year for 4 years for that scholarship. I think that's what it is. And then there's a couple other ones in there. The Don Meldrum Scholarship is a former school board member who retired many years ago. Great guy. Passed away. He's still got some pretty good scholarship. So I just wanted to call your attention to those that were added kind of last second.
And we appreciate everybody who donates to the school, so. Immensely. All right, so we have a motion to accept all these wonderful donations and everything else under the consent items, and a second. All those in favor? Motion passes 8-0. Next up is the financial approvals. We'll take these one by one. First one up is the preliminary budget, which has to be approved. It doesn't necessarily mean what's be final.
Approve 8.01.
Motion and second on the primary budget. Any other questions around it? All those in favor? Motion passes 8-0. Next up is the Chester County IU core budget. This is for the core services. There's a 0 increase for this budget from last year.
Move to approve.
Move to approve. Second. Any questions around it? All those in favor? Motion passes 8-0. Next up is the Chester County IU occupational education budget. There is an increase of about $160,000, which is, if I remember right, 19.5%.
I would like to make a motion to not approve the intermediate unit occupational education budget.
All right, we have a motion to not approve it. Do I have a second to not approve it?
Second.
A motion and a second. All right, any comments around this?
I would like to, 19.5%, I do understand how the IU does their budgeting. And I understand that the more children that take advantage of the IU, our costs are more. But a 19%, over a 19% increase, when Dr. O'Brien has already said that there's no increase in the tuition for this coming year. So my question then is, they're taking a lot of other kids in this program this year, this coming year, not just Great Valley. So they're budgeting in all these additional children, and they can still have the cost per student be the same. I would like, Carol, if you would, as our rep, I would like it taken back to the IU that this is the year that I think they really need to scrutinize in every line of expense, because that, with our state funds and federal funds dwindling, as are every district in this county, the IU needs to start sharpening that pencil, as we all do. So I would like to see that be done this year. So I'd like us to not approve that budget.
I'll be seeing Mr. O'Brien Wednesday night, and I will bring this to him from our board.
I also agree with your thoughts, Ellen, because I do believe it's excessive. But I just want to make sure the public's aware. We are one of 12 districts that vote on this, so we have a small say in the whole thing. So even though we may turn it down, we may still also be stuck with this bill because it's approved by the entire county, not just one district, one by one. So just wanted everybody to be clear on that. So if this resolution does pass, it's a great thing that we have more kids going to the technical school. They offer great services. We don't. We're not by any means. I'm not voting against this because of that. I agree with Ellen. I think that the IU needs to sharpen their pencil a little bit and do a better proactive job of containing costs. So I'll be voting against it also. Any other questions or comments? All right, so the motion right now is to vote against this budget. All those in favor of the motion? Motion passes 8-0. So the budget for the IU is turned down. Next up is the contract with Fox Rothschild for negotiations. Motion and a second. Any questions? This is for the negotiations for the contract for next year. All those in favor? Motion passes 8-0. Next up is the joint ratification of purchasing bid. Have a motion. Any questions on this? All those in favor? Motion passes 8-0. Next up is a contract with Youth Truth for student survey. I have a question. What is this again? Just a minute. Oh, sorry, second. Motion a second, sorry.
Yes, Youth Truth is a group that we'll be working with. If you remember, one of the recommendations from the communication audit was for us to do more systematic surveying of not only students but parents, and as well as staff and administrators. So Jen Blake and I will be working on making that happen, and Jen has been very instrumental in directing that work to make sure that we're really asking the questions that align to the district's mission and vision. So.
Thank you. Any questions? All those in favor? Motion passes 8-0. Next up is a professional development training agreement with Leslie. I won't even. Oh, sorry. Oh, we could have done 808 first, but anyways. Motion to approve the chiller repair. I have a motion, second. All right. I will be abstaining because I work for the contractor involved, Johnson Controls, just for the record. All those in favor? Motion passes 7-0 with one abstention. 8.08. Thank you. Any questions? All those in favor? Motion passes 8-0. Performance agreement with the Walnut Street Theater for Charlestown. Have a motion for approval? Second? Any questions?
I believe this is one of the events that the PTO is sponsoring for the elementary schools.
Which is great, which is awesome.
Yes.
I just want to make sure that.
Yes, and we will be bringing those so that we're well aware of what resources are being provided.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Motion passes 8-0. Motion for approval of 811, presenter for parent session at Charlestown. Oh, 811 first. Sorry. Motion and a second. Any questions on 811? All those in favor? Motion passes 8-0. Sorry. 810, presenter for Verge Body Mind at Charlestown. Motion and a second. Any questions? All those in favor? Motion passes 8-0. Personnel approvals, first one up, personnel items.
Motion to approve 9.01.
Motion second. Motion and second. Any questions? All those in favor? Motion passes 8-0. Resolution with the GVA concerning alternative physical education credits.
Move to approve 9.02.
Motion and second. Any questions or comments? All right, all those in favor? Motion passes 8-0. All right, there's a list of second readings for adoption on policy approvals. Do I have a motion for approval?
Motion to approve 10.01.
Second? Motion and second. Any questions on any of these policies?
I do. I have a concern with policy 221, the dress code. I think we've gone so far to neutrality that we have no guidelines for the students. While I agree that we don't want to have anything that's offensive or harmful or violating somebody's rights, in clothing, I agree with that, but we don't have any guidelines for respect and appropriateness, and at a time in young people's lives when we can really teach and enforce the notion of how to conduct oneself in public and how to dress appropriately, these policies are just so open-ended that it just absolutely provides no guidance and no support as far as that goes.
I think when we were in policy committee, Dave, and if you want to jump in because Steph isn't here, part of what administration, there's the policy and then there's the administrative guideline. The administrative guideline speaks, I think, more to some of the things. I don't know why.
It's not my phone.
It could be my laptop too. I think the administrative guideline speaks more to some of the things that you're talking about, that the administration didn't want the policy itself to be super restrictive, that they wanted to put more of those kind of things in the administrative guideline and then have the final decisions with the principals. And Regina, you might want to, because we spoke about this actually at length, and we looked at the dress code policies of a number of neighboring schools and other, I think Steph had some others from even across the country that she was looking, that we looked at. We kind of looked at this one pretty extensively.
The other problem I think we raised was the fact that a lot of these past guidelines were, some people would view as very one-sided as far as the gender, and the goal was to try to make it more level, and that was one of the concerns.
I still think you've swayed way too far to being politically correct and trying to be gender neutral, and I just don't think that that's reflective of what I think is best. Personally, what I think is best. Maybe not the community, but personally.
May I give my opinion and my stand on this? I truly believe that there's a lot that we as citizens of this country are bearing the brunt of because of political correctness. I've had a problem with our dress code for how long have I lived here? 28 years. Even before I had kids in school, you drove by the schools. It certainly, I think, bears us taking a good hard look at, and I don't believe that what I'm reading reflects anything except a walk down the middle of the road political correctness. And I would like to see us approve everything with the exception of that policy and take a really, really hard look as to, does it represent the community values of the Great Valley community? And I think that is the question that this committee has to ask when reviewing that policy, and I do not believe, as it's written, it represents that. So I would hope that we could take that out and take another look at it.
I just want to speak to the conversation that we did have. I think one of the challenges, and not that it's a challenge that we can't overcome, but I've been in the situation in trying to overcome the challenge. A policy for dress code oftentimes does not capture the intention that you seek. Because appropriateness of dress is not necessarily clearly defined in words. For example, so many inches above the knee. The kinds of things that are typically written in policies are oftentimes, when you take them very literally, don't translate into what you expect to see. That is one of the conversations that we had, and why when you look at 221 administrative guideline, it speaks to the more appropriateness, and it's not trying to be, I don't believe it's to capture political correctness as much as it is to capture the variability that truly exists when you're working with students that are at different developmental stages. So it's really not as much of a political correctness position as it is allowing the value judgment to play in, providing enough flexibility and interpretation that you're not bound, and letting the administrative guideline drive that. So we can certainly return back to with the policy committee. That wouldn't be a problem at all. I just caution that multiple discussions are not going to discount the reality in the enforcement of a policy. As a building level administrator, I've had the sheer pleasure of enforcing a 30-page dress policy that spoke to everything typically but the issue that I was dealing with, which required you then to default to best judgment. And there were often times that I could not depend on a policy to guide me. I had to depend on what was appropriate and then explain not only to the student but to also their parents as to why my perception of appropriate fell outside of their perception of appropriate. So I think you're always going to have that, that gap. And one of the challenges in a policy is clearly identifying and capturing the essence of the community values while also having the policy guide you. So I just want to caution that I don't know that a policy can ever capture that inclusively.
Can't you get away with the intent of what you're speaking about without diving into this one paragraph that talks about gender neutrality and dressing in accordance with gender identity, which seems to be kind of like a shifting concept depending on who you're talking to and when? It seems like it injects more uncertainty and less clarity.
Absolutely. We can absolutely bring that back if that paragraph would provide less ambiguity. Absolutely. It's in the guideline. It's in the administrative. The policy is purposely.
The guidelines are still voted on.
Right.
Right. You're asking the committee, and I just want to clarify this because it seems to be a sticking point. We're not only approving the policy, but we're also approving the guideline that goes with the policy.
Yes.
No. The administrative guidelines are not board approved. They're guidelines, and they can be adjusted as policies change. So
Okay. Okay, and I appreciate that. Then, to that end, for me, these policies need to be more closely aligned to the administrative guidelines. So, for instance, that being in the administrative guideline and not being represented in the policy, I think that even though the administrative guidelines are separate from the policy, I think that they should be defining the policy, or they should be representative of the policy. And with this one, I don't believe that it is. I think that I would like to see it go back to committee and get a little bit closer to bringing everything, combining everything so that we actually know what we're voting on and it just doesn't look like a bunch of words for the sake of political correctness.
I also think one of my main concerns was that there's, to me, a sense of the inability of the administration to enforce any of the clothing guidelines. It just doesn't seem as though there's, the way it's written, it just does not appear that the administration can really do anything to enforce it, because then it would be taken as punishment.
The clarity around
Just
this.
one quick question. Someone up here has their phone very close to the receiver and it's causing a lot of feedback. I can't hear some things, but.
Thank you. I was hearing it as well. One of the things, and we can certainly take this back to committee, but the guideline that we've been following is to remove guidelines from policy because they become outdated and require a total review. So for example, in the previous policy that has been in place for a number of years, it indicated, it spoke about things like fishnet clothing, and that is so specific and dated that it was tying to administration. So that is why in the guideline at the bottom, if you will see any questions about dress code or the appropriateness of particular attire or appearance shall be directed to the building principal or assistant principal. So it's giving that latitude. If we want to spell that out more clearly, we can certainly do that. But my recommendation would be that any specificity would be put into guidelines so that the changes, because if you remember, one of the problems with our policy is we had policies that were difficult to enforce. So we want to make sure that we don't repeat that practice and have the flexibility and let the guidelines drive what we do in the day-to-day.
One of the things that we spent a lot of time with trying to figure out in committee was, and it may not have come across, you said it already, that different children are at different developmental stages. So where 2 inches above the knee for one student might be appropriate, but 2 inches above the knee for another student might not be so appropriate because of their body type and size. So we found that when we were trying to figure out very specific these things or those things, that because body type is so changing in the high school environment and because the clothing is so changing constantly all the time, that when we tried to put it in the policy, we found that we were like, well, how do we say that? How do we say, do we try to go to sizes of different people's heights, weights? Like, how do we get into that? And that's when Regina said this is much better being in the administrative guideline for someone to be able to, instead of saying it has to be this exact thing, than saying this on you with your body type in this moment is something that is just not appropriate in the school. And we couldn't figure out how to codify that in a way that wasn't a 30-page dress code. I mean, if the board wants a 30-page dress code and wants administration to go down that road, but I just wanted to say,
I don't think we do.
That was our struggle. But I mean, that really was our struggle.
Let me ask you a question. It sounds like you have experience enforcing the 30-page code. And as I'm reading this here, and I've read this in the past, it seems like there's enough latitude here that gives you the ability to exercise judgment.
Absolutely.
And the members of your administration, that in that instance where inappropriate clothing is being worn, regardless of the gender, you would be able to look at that and say it's not consistent with the code, identify a reason and move on, as opposed to limiting yourself to a list of 150 different things that are inappropriate.
Yes.
Which could be a sliding scale.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And that's exactly why this builds in that latitude for the administrators to use their administrative authority in the implementation and the enforcement of the policy. Absolutely.
And not paint yourselves into a corner. Right? Any other questions around this? We have a motion to approve all the policies as is. Administrative guidelines can change and don't need approval of the board.
Right. The administrative guidelines, though, will always be brought back. Dr. Gafredo has been working very diligently with the administrators to make sure that the administrative guidelines, when they're changed, that the board is notified so that you see the enforcement of, that you see how we would enforce the policy.
All right. All the policies that are listed there.
Yeah, but there was the idea of pulling this one out.
Well, right now, the motion is to approve the 5.
So do we have to turn this down and then re-vote it again without it in?
If you'd like to.
You can actually amend the motion with a first and a second, and that would have to be approved 5-4 to amend it. And then the amendment would have whatever the amendment was, either removed or if it fails, stays in.
Okay.
I'd just like to emphasize that we are approving the policies. And the recommendation was that if we want to get strict or do something different, we do it in the guidelines, which we are not approving. So those guidelines, as stated here, are not something we're voting on to approve.
For the purposes of this vote, the guidelines are offered as, if you look at the strike-through in your copies of the policies, the guidelines were actually extracted and put into a separate document. But one of the issues that we have and that Dr. Gafredo and his team are working on doing is making sure that when it refers to, when the policy refers to an administrative guideline, that that's actually easily accessible. In some cases, it said, see the administrative guideline, and we had a difficult time finding them. So now, as we're moving forward with this policy, it's to make sure that for every policy, the administrative guideline is right there. It may be changed and adjusted without board vote. However, it will be acknowledged by board information. Just so we're all really clear on that process. I think it's disingenuous to have a document that's not right with it.
Dave, may I amend the motion? I'd like to make a motion to amend the motion.
Second.
Amendment would you like?
I would like the
To remove policy.
remove 221 from the list.
All right, I have a motion to amend the motion. Do I have a second? All right, so we are now voting on the amendment to the motion. The amended motion. Exactly.
But we're voting whether to remove that policy.
Correct. From the motion. All right. Any questions or comments around this? All those in favor of removing that? All those opposed? The motion passes 5-3. So now the motion, the original motion is to approve, get the right list, the other 4 policies, 213, 215, 239, and 707.
Move to approve.
No, we already have a motion. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? All right, so those 4 policies are approved. Policy 221 will be sent back to the committee to further review and modify.
Thank you. Well, yes, I think I have a clear idea, more specificity in the guidelines.
So the way I've been looking at this is that we've been talking about 2 sort of different things. One is the weakening or dilution of board responsibility in a policy matter at a level that the board must vote on and is responsible for, versus the very specific items of what's in a dress code. We don't want to get into what's in a dress code, but we also don't want to weaken the authority of an already weakened board. So this is one of the very few areas where we actually have some authority left. And I would like to make sure that we don't cede it without knowing what we're ceding. So I'd like to retain the authority to control a dress code.
I'm confused, because I heard you say we're going back and we're going to talk about more specificity in the guidelines. Now, what I heard you say, you want it moved to the policy.
Well, I think you guys have to let the policy committee do some of that work and figure out what's best and work with the attorneys and work with Dan, who's got to enforce it all, to come back with another recommendation. We've heard the inputs, I think.
Is the board looking for a more specific, looking for specific items to go in the AG? I just want to make sure.
No, I don't think that's the goal at all, is to have a laundry list of things you can and cannot wear, and lengths and fabrics and things like that. But I do think it has to have more firm boundaries of what's of appropriateness, general appropriateness, personal appearance, those sorts of things that we want everyone to reflect as a proud member of the Great Valley community.
I'd like to know that there's a compelling reason to change the existing policy from what it is. Well, then fix it, but I don't want to weaken it.
I think the policy and the administration have a clearer understanding, so the policy committee. All right, next up for approval is a grant for $10,000 from the Department of Ed. Need a motion for approval?
Move to approve.
A second? And can I have a comment on what this is?
Absolutely. This is a huge shout out to our Department of Pupil Services, most notably Megan McGee-Heim and Andrea Dinsmore, who are working with our students with autism, and they have secured $10,000 to support students who will be working on executive functioning while taking college courses at Westchester University. So amazing work on the part of that department, as well as the administrators and the staff in securing that. It's just the beginning of multiple revenue sources that can support our students and our programs.
All right, any questions? All right, motion and a second. All those in favor? Motion passes 8-0. All right, that's all the voting items on the agenda. Let's see, get my right place here. Oh. Yep, I will open the microphone up for public comment on any other items or anything that was voted on. Please come to the podium, state your name and residency. All right, seeing none. Any other board comments? All right, I have one. At the last meeting, the board heard comment from Mr. Bruce Chambers concerning the district's financial decision-making. The board would like to respond by assuring the Great Valley community that it is committed to maintaining a budget process that is transparent. To that end, our budget calendar includes multiple public presentations. Documents are posted online and in our publications, and a budget video series is available on our website. Excuse me, I have a cold too. We also record and air our school board meetings as well as finance committee meetings of the board. Our goal is to provide ongoing opportunities for the public to be informed, and we consistently welcome public comment and questions via email, phone calls, and at our meetings. The board is also committed to responsibly considering not only the immediate impact of the budget on our taxpayers, but also the long-term interests of our schools, our students and their families, and our broader community. Our practice of allocating money to a capital reserve fund as well as to our general reserves supports the commitment to thinking well past short-term savings to ensure long-term stability for the district and our community. Our budget presentation consistently disclose what the actual reserves will be and how they will be used. We also review the capital reserve fund balance in great detail and in multiple meetings throughout the year. Mr. Chambers' comments also included a reference to a civil lawsuit recently filed in Lower Merion School District related to the district's budgeting practices. The board will not comment on Lower Merion's budget or its practices, but will say that the judge's decision in Lower Merion only rejected the exceptions the district used in its budget, not the actual Act 1 index. Great Valley has not budgeted above the Act 1 index since Mr. Chambers was on the board in 2012, therefore making the comparison between the two districts somewhat moot. The last 5 budgets, including the current budget for consideration, have been at or less than the Act 1 index, including 2 years of a 0% increase. Finally, a list of external metrics can be applied to evaluate our budget and the process we use to develop that budget. Our budget complies with GASB requirements and is subject to an annual independent audit. Additionally, our budgeting practices align with the best practices of school districts across Pennsylvania and the nation, as reflected in multiple accolades we've earned from the Association of School Business Officials and the Government's Finance Officers Association. According to Moody's Investment Services, the financial position of the district is in line with the assigned rating of AAA, and our available fund balance as a percent of operating revenues is roughly equivalent to the U.S. median. The board has the utmost confidence in our superintendent and our business administrator, whose advice and expertise allow us to annually consider the budget in a way that best balances the opportunities we provide students with a tax bill we believe is fair and reasonable for a community given its express commitment to strong schools. In closing, the board reminds the community that budgeting for a school district isn't as simple as seeing what you spent the year before and then adjusting slightly for inflation. School district costs, namely those associated with pension obligations, special ed, charter schools, and health care, rise significantly faster than inflation every year. School districts are limited in their ability to predict enrollment changes, legal costs, new state and federal mandates. In addition, revenue streams can fluctuate sometimes significantly from year to year with little predictability. Because the prior year is not always indicative of the next year, we continue to believe the conservative budgeting is only prudent and responsible way to move forward. Any other comments? All right, motion to adjourn? All those in favor? Thank you very much. Have a good evening.